Hello there. Thank you so much for joining us. This is News Channel Nebraska. My name's Eric McKay. Let's take a look at our top headlines today. Governor Jim Pillen has ordered the deployment of the National Guard to assist with security in neighborhoods impacted by severe weather. Over the weekend, the request came from Douglas County. They asked for the National Guard to assist in the deterrence of looters. Pillen obliged Tuesday, ordering the deployment of soldiers to support law enforcement. The National Guard sending about 24 soldiers starting as early as Wednesday evening and through the next 2 weeks. As hundreds of tornado victims start the long road back to normalcy, a little-known tax law is standing by, ready to help. Joe Jordan has our report.
As some 150 homeowners in or near Omaha begin efforts to rebuild their homes following a massive outbreak of tornadoes, there is some comforting news to offset the tornado that ripped through Elkhorn and Bennington at speeds estimated to be no less than 135 miles an hour.
Oh my gosh, that's a strong tornado. Lots of debris in the air.
It's turning out you do not have to pay property taxes on homes leveled by the tornadoes. Not long ago, you would have. This all goes back to the massive Nebraska floods of 2019, which left an estimated $3 billion of damage behind.
Just a heads up.
That found State Senator Steve Erdman working up legislation allowing a reset of the taxes owed on damage to property exceeding 20% of the property's assessed value, clearly covering homes that are no longer livable following a disaster. In addition, the Nebraska Supreme Court in just the last few weeks removed some lingering questions about the legislation, noting that a disastrous event includes, but is not limited to fire, an earthquake, a flood, a tornado, or other natural event. Homeowners are advised to contact the county in order to keep those tax dollars off the books. In Omaha, Joe Jordan, News Channel, Nebraska.
Meanwhile, the severe weather that was predicted for Tuesday didn't amount to too much. That doesn't mean there weren't some notable storms in some parts of the state. The heaviest weather seen in the far northeast and far southeast corners of Nebraska. There were tornado watches in several counties, though they were canceled several hours before they were scheduled to expire. Now the eastern third of the state waits for yet another day with the possibility of dangerous storms returning both Wednesday and Thursday. In other news, the fight over school choice in Nebraska not over yet. An opposition group says they filed a referendum petition to place a school choice bill signed into law this month on the November ballot. The group Support Our Schools Nebraska delivered paperwork Tuesday to start a petition drive against LB 1402. That's the bill passed this past legislative session that devotes $10 million to the state treasurer to distribute to students looking to attend private schools. If that all sounds familiar, it should. A referendum against a previous school choice bill, LB 753, was already set to appear on the November ballot after gathering 117,000 signatures, but that measure was rendered moot by the new law passed this session.
Something's already on the ballot, and then they went ahead and passed a different bill instead of waiting to see what happened with the ballot measure.
The Old Opportunity Scholarships Act did prove popular. The state says more than 1,500 students have applied for scholarships under the old law so far. Governor Jim Pillen has cut nearly 1,000 government positions in an executive order issued Tuesday. The order eliminates jobs that have been vacant for more than 90 days. There are exceptions for what Pillen calls critical public safety positions. Pillen's office says the order plays into his push to ease property taxes in Nebraska, allowing the money budgeted for those positions to be reallocated. According to a news release, the state's projecting a savings of over $39 million as a result of the job cuts. Federal restrictions for marijuana could soon become looser. The Department of Justice says it wants to reclassify the drug as lower risk. Its formal proposal, announced yesterday, sets off a process that could result in the change. Amy Kiley has more on what that could mean for businesses and users.
On the schedule currently, marijuana is considered as dangerous as heroin.
That could soon change. The Justice Department is starting the process to make marijuana a Schedule III drug instead of Schedule I. That would put it on par with Tylenol containing codeine. Right now, marijuana is considered
more dangerous than fentanyl, which is absurd, not to mention patently unfair.
The change could ease criminal penalties, help marijuana businesses bank more freely, and give tax benefits to state-licensed operators. But reclassification takes months due to steps outlined in the Controlled Substances Act.
I've been smoking pot for like 5 decades.
A Pew Research Center poll shows most Americans support legalizing marijuana for health or recreation. Reclassifying it doesn't go that far, but advocates welcome looser restrictions.
I was a heroin addict for many, many years. Just taking the edge off keeps me off of going back.
Now a lot of athletes are consuming cannabis for their own health and well-being.
Others caution that marijuana can lead to health issues and addiction.
A lot of the news focus is on fentanyl, but we have 5 times as many Americans with cannabis use disorder or cannabis addiction as we do with opioid use disorder.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
May 1st is known to many as College Decision Day, but many students still don't know where they're going this fall. That's because they're stuck in limbo, waiting for delayed financial award letters. So high school seniors have to submit a financial aid application form known as FAFSA in order to qualify for federal loans, grants, and most financial aid. But there were a number of processing problems and glitches with this year's rollout. Hundreds of schools had to push back their decision deadlines because of the delays. But some are still forcing students to enroll and pay a deposit without knowing how much college will actually cost them. As of April 23rd, only about half of colleges had sent aid packages to some or all students. That's according to the National Association of Student Financial Aid Administrators. As a major expansion of a UNMC medical school gets set to open in central Nebraska, school officials there are looking for someone to lead the program. The UNMC College of Medicine says the search is on for a regional associate dean of medicine position on UNK's campus. That person will be in charge of the Christensen Rural Health Education Complex. The 100,000 square foot building is on UNK's campus, but will contain a branch of the University of Nebraska Medical Center. The first medical classes in that new building are slated for fall of 2026. Well, this past Monday marked the 5-year anniversary for a Northeast Nebraska YMCA's expansion. Back in 2019, the new addition brought 2 new gyms, a turf field house, a wellness center, and a weight room. Executive Director Randy Hagedorn says over that 5-year period, memberships have jumped 50%.
It's kind of hard to believe that 5 years ago, yesterday, the 29th, we actually had a ribbon cutting for our new facility. And it just tells you what the need for the community was and how much this place gets used.
Hagedorn says the YMCA always looking to improve. He says nothing's set in stone, but says expansions to their child care offerings and redoing their pool are potential future projects. He says without the community support, the jumps the Y has made over the last few years would not have been possible. And a staple of a southeast Nebraska town once stood for 5 decades, then went away until a nonprofit decided to bring it back. And now it's celebrating a major milestone. Jake Bartecki has more.
It's been a decade since a piece of southeast Nebraska history was brought back to life. Traubel's Popcorn Stand in Beatrice is set to celebrate 10 years at their downtown Beatrice location of 5th and Court. Deb Fiedler says it's an accomplishment the stand takes pride in.
It's wonderful, especially knowing that there was people out there that didn't think we'd actually make it, get this stand here.
Fiedler is president of the Beatrice nonprofit Community Possibilities, the group responsible for bringing Traubel's back to life. Traubel's was started directly across the street from their current location in 1937 by John and Stella Traubel, and the stand remained for 50 years. The stand was often ran by Ruth Gustafson, better known to some as the Popcorn Lady. Fast forward to 2014, and Community Possibilities began the process of reopening.
We had quite a few fundraisers and people donated money to make this stand happen. We got the stand built, and then 10 years ago, As of May 1st, we brought it down here and we've been going ever since.